Welcome to Random Product Critic, a channel about critiquing anything that can be bought.
Okay, this has become one of my most favorite games, and I thought it would be a fun one to kind of look at because not a lot of people have heard about it, even though it's been around for quite a while. So this is Killer Bunnies and the Quest for the Magic Carrot. Killer Bunnies is one of those games that no matter how many times you play it, it's going to be completely different every single time. It does require a little bit of reading, so the age of 13 plus is definitely recommended, and it says 2 to 8 players. I imagine the best gameplay is going to be around 4 to 8. You can definitely add more if you have all the expansions. It's not very fun with 2 people though. 3 people might be okay. I haven't tried it with that. So Killer Bunnies, the whole goal of this game, it's a card game and it's a turn-based type of game. And the whole goal is to have bunnies that are alive and kill other people's bunnies, as well as collect carrot cards. And at the end of the game, whoever has a randomly drawn winning carrot is the winner. So you want to collect these cards to increase your chances of having the winning carrot. So Killer Bunnies, it comes in this blue box. I think it always includes the yellow deck. So it's a blue and a yellow deck. So it's 165 cards, which is more than enough for a basic game with 4 to 8 people or whatever. And each one of these cards has different abilities. Most of them you can just read directly what it says on the card. If not, each expansion also includes booklets that kind of explain things. You can see here I've got all the expansions in here, and there are over 1,000 cards, and it's a pretty hefty box. They're all packed in here pretty tightly. So I'm not going to go over all the rules, but I will cover some basics, just so you can get an idea of what this game's about. So the very first thing is these orange cards. Pull it out here. So these are a carrot card, and basically you're trying to collect these. The initial expansion has 12 of them. Once you get I think it's the red expansion, you get up to 20 of these, so your games last a little bit longer, and you're trying to collect those carrot cards. So you can buy them from a store, or there are cards in the decks that say, pick up 1 carrot or pick up 2 carrots or whatever. And then once all of the carrots are gone, or everyone has bought them or collected them, then you just randomly pick. It comes with these little carrot cards right here. So it comes with these little carrot cards, and whichever one is on the bottom after you shuffle them, that's the winning card. So you don't look at it until the end of the game. So it does require a bit of strategy, because you're trying to kill other people's bunnies, and you cannot win the game if you don't have a bunny that's alive at the end of the game. So that's where the strategy comes in, is trying to keep your bunnies alive and kill other people's bunnies, and keeping strategy to get these carrots. So there are different expansions. You can see a lot of different colors here, and each expansion just adds more things. So there's money, you can buy things. There's things like Feed the Bunny, which is kind of like a weapon, which if you play it on a player, they have to feed cabbage or water to their bunny that you placed it on, otherwise that bunny dies. There's different things like ranking in some of the expansions. Here's a sample weapon. Loose stalactite may be placed on any bunny that must roll higher than 3 to survive. And a lot of actions. Everything's turn-based, and there's a lot of dice actions. So different dice for different expansions and whatnot. So there's weapons. There's one of those choose a carrot cards to pick one up. There's different types of bunnies that you can pick up that do different things. There's bunny modifiers that help with things. See if there's another bunny, typical bunny. So a sinister bunny. This one's a red and a green. And there's just a lot of random cards as well that do things like this one infects players. And there's literally just hundreds and hundreds of them depending on the expansions. And some of them are pretty dang funny. It gives some pretty graphic descriptions. So probably not super good for little kids because there are some graphic descriptions on some of the cards, like this one. Play immediately while hang gliding for the first time on one of your bunnies is caught in a serious downdraft and he dies immediately. There's our movie references and things. So it's definitely a fun game, and it changes every time you play it because all these cards you shuffle and random. And since there's so many, you can just have a lot of fun with it. And it definitely involves a lot of player interaction as well. You know, you're fighting each other, keeping your bunnies alive. You have fun with the cards and trying to read them and see what they say. And you can trade with other players and whatnot. So there's a lot of variety to this game, and it's just overall a riot. We bought this after the first time that we played it because we loved it so much, and it was, you know, just such a fun game. Even with 4 people was that first time, and we've played it with lots of other people, and it's been completely different every time. Sometimes it goes by really fast, like half an hour. Sometimes it goes awfully slow. Like we've had a game that lasted 4 or 5 hours and we just called it quits. So depending on the group and just luck of the cards, it can go a long time or be really short. Pretty similar to any of these turn-based games. So because I do have all the expansions, I'll run through just so you can kind of see what's available. I'll give a summary of each one as well. So the basic package just gives you the blue and the yellow decks, and they're just the basic starter cards. There's nothing too special about them except for the initial gameplay and a few weapons and things like that. Every expansion, or almost every expansion from there on out, adds additional game mechanics to the starter package, and they kind of build on top of each other. So if you got one of the later expansions, you may have to just kind of discard some cards because they may not apply if you don't have a previous expansion. But overall, most of them can kind of be mixed and matched. So the first one right after this blue and yellow is the red booster. If you're lucky enough to find someone selling this, it's going to cost you a little bit. They don't make this booster anymore, so you have to buy it used. We ended up paying, I believe, like $75 or $80 for it. Most of the ones they still produce are about $15, and this one it's just tough to find. It does add a lot of extra things that you kind of need for a chunk of the cards. You can play without it, and we did, but there's some cards that just don't make sense if you don't have this booster. So this is the red booster. It's the second one. And the next one is the violet booster. The violet booster just adds a few extra game mechanics, especially some weapons and whatnot. There's nothing too super exciting about that one. It does add a 20-sided die. I forgot to mention that. You can see the picture there. The 20-sided die is something that if you have any expansions, you're going to want to have this dice. If you don't get this expansion, you can definitely get that dice or use an app to simulate the 20-sided die, but it is something that you're going to want to use for basically all the expansions. So that one includes that. Next one is orange. So orange adds quite a few extra mechanics. It adds it adds a whole nother store. It adds pawns, which adds special abilities, and adds a bunch of extra just regular cards as well. I forgot to mention the red package. What it adds to it, it adds just a lot of extra game mechanics. It adds defensive cards, it adds an extra weapon store, it adds an essential red dice, it adds more carrots to your thing, it adds all these red bunnies which have special abilities. So it adds a lot of extra stuff even though it's a single package. So the fourth one is green. Green is, it's kind of a fun one. You can play by itself. It includes these Zodiac cards. They don't do much up front, but there is this Zodiac dice that applies to a lot of cards. So you can say, if you get Pisces or something, then you have to do something. So it adds these Zodiac cards and dice, and this Zodiac card, it does have an end of the game modifier that kind of helps with adding or the probability on those carrots. So this one is a good one to get overall, I think. The next one after that doesn't really add much except for just additional cards. It's the Twilight White package, so it's kind of like this black and white colored one. It adds another die and a couple extra pawns, but functionally it doesn't add really any extra gameplay. Just more cards to it. The steel one, or stainless steel, is a really good one for a starter expansion because it doesn't add a lot of functionality, but it does add a lot of extra good fun cards. It also adds some super bunnies, which are more powerful. These super bunnies make the gameplay much more interesting because, for example, this green one that it shows here, if you have this one, then no other green bunnies can be played. So it can be pretty fun with those extra super bunnies. But otherwise, this one doesn't add anything extra, really, so it's a really good one for a starter expansion. Another good one to start with, even though it's kind of towards the end, is this pink, perfectly pink expansion. It does add more bunnies, adds a few more rules, including some rank cards. But this one is a good expansion to start with as well because it's not like a whole lot of rules, but it does add a little bit, so it's adds to that initial starter deck. So 3 more, bear with me. So there's Wacky Khaki. Doesn't add too much. It adds more rank cards, which I'm not going to explain. This one you can only, I don't think you can get this as a single package. So it comes with a double package. It's the Ominous Onyx. So this one comes with twice as many cards as all the other expansions. And it does add a few extra rules, especially these mysterious place cards. There's basically this ball right here, and whoever owns this ball can own certain cards when they're played. So it adds a lot of extra, paying attention into the game, and kind of an interesting twist to how the game is played in general. This one you probably would not want to start with because it does add extra rules, but it does add a good handful of cards. So it might be a good one to start with just for the fact of 110 extra cards. So, and then our very last one, it's actually not listed on the original instruction booklet. It's kind of an addition. It's the chocolate booster. The chocolate one kind of deviates a little bit because it adds a lot of extra functionality for kind of psychic type of things, which I haven't played with those yet. I find they're just too hard to pay attention to because it's a lot of extra rules. But if you like having those extra things to pay attention, this one is kind of a fun deck to play with. This one also includes a lot of movie references. You can see there's like a Pirates of the Caribbean bunny here. Flo's Diner, you got Spider-Man. There's a lot of movie references, so this one's really fun to look at just for that. So those are all the expansions. That is 10 of them on top of the original 2 that you get. And overall you're getting let's see how many total cards that is. Oh, doesn't even list it. Oh, there we go. Maybe. Nope, maybe not. So yeah, I think it lists it on the side here of all the numbers. Yeah, so on the side of this it lists all those boosters so you can kind of keep track of them. So the chocolate one adds all the cards up to 770. So all of the decks together add 770. There is this Kinder Bunnies deck which I refuse to buy. Die. It adds like picture only cards for little kids to play, so they don't have to read, like ages 3 and up. I don't think it's really worth it for that one. And in general, this game is just it's awesomely fun. Every person I've played with has just loved playing it and wants to play it again. So this is Killer Bunnies and the Quest for the Magic Carrot. Says it takes about 45 minutes, but really it's usually a lot longer, a couple hours. It is 13 plus, and I would recommend that just so even the kids that can read, they understand what they're reading, because there are some kind of big words and whatnot. And it's best played with 4 and up players. Anything lower than that, kind of, it's either too fast or it gets kind of boring. And it does come with a lot of instruction booklets every expansion you get, which kind of help explain certain cards and all the rules and everything. So there's a lot to this game. It does take time to learn, and it's really fun to just kind of go at it and see what happens every time you play it, because it's so random. And it is, probably if you can manage to get all the expansions, it's going to cost a little bit. But this initial game box, I think it's only $35. So it's a pretty good price, and definitely lasts, and definitely worth the money.
Thanks for watching. If you liked our video, please subscribe. Don't forget to thumbs up the video as well as share with others that may find this video interesting. If you'd like to make a request, click the link below in the description, and also feel free to take a look at some of our other random product videos.